Okay, sorry about that, folks. I don't know what happened, but the stream just decided to die. So I've tweaked the latency settings as well. So I've got a slightly slower latency than before, but it will be hopefully a little bit better this time. So I do apologize. That's what I get for messing around with the settings. So hopefully we can have a little bit more of a stable connection this time around. So hopefully people realize and will join back up, considering I've had to start a new stream, and there'll be inexplicably two halves of the stream video after YouTube. So thanks, YouTube. But yeah, this is the way things happen when you do it live. Just as I was talking about how things just sometimes just don't work very well. So hopefully a few of you guys will be joining this stream again from the last one. I do apologize for the inconvenience, guys. Hopefully this one has a little bit more stability than the last one. But yeah, sometimes I don't always notice, so if you just kind of give me a nudge in the comments if you're experiencing issues, then I can kind of look to address them. So I'm just gluing this skull into the bottom here. I've glued a little bit of the rope there. I just add a little bit more glue in there. I don't think I did enough. What do you think of the Adepts Mechanicus? Would you ever do a conversion for them? Some wild tech priest of sorts. Yeah, so the Skitarii and the Adepts Mechanicus as a whole are really interesting bunch. And to be honest, because they kind of have this weird anything goes, it would be nice to do something for them. The only thing is, all the ideas I've had have always used Imperial God components with tech priest components, or Space Marine components, tech priest components, things like that. But I've never actually done a straight up Adeptus Mechanicus conversion, so it would be nice to do something for them in the future. Again, I need to delve a little bit deeper into their lore. I would like to maybe do something along the lines of one of the more specific fields of the Adeptus Mechanicus. So you have like the ones which are more kind of involved with biology. It'd be quite interesting to do something with that. Yeah, maybe in the future. So, just to recap, we've got our Anvil Industry head, our Anvil Industry torso, we have Cadian arms and legs, and then we also have this knife from the Blood Reavers kit from Age of Sigmar. We have a skull here from the skull set. We have a pouches, which I think from a Space Marine set, I believe. We've got the Blood Pact, a little bit of a kind of spiky thing, and we have the little bit of a rope from the House Cawdor, and that gives us our basic Blood Pact Trooper. Now, I did say this was going to be two halves of this video. This is the first half, and this is the basic Blood Pact Trooper. Now, if you wanted to use this for things like regular rank and file guardsmen, then I think this would be a better approach. But if you wanted something which was a little bit more elite, something you could use as a proxy for Tempestus Scions, then we're going to need to use some Tempestus Scion kit components. Now, annoyingly, this broke, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to clip it off anyway. So I've got my torso here, I've got my legs, and we're going to be using this as the basis for our conversion. Again, these guys could be slightly more elite versions of the regular rank and file who've risen up the ranks because of their martial prowess, and if they have maybe acquired their equipment from fallen enemies, or they've managed to get a hold of the equipment because some people have defected, things like that. Now, the first thing we need to do is to shave off these sections of the legs. Again, these are Imperial iconography, and no Khorne follower would be seen dead with them. So again, we're just going to be very, very quickly cutting them off with a blade, like so. If you need an idea for a unit for Adeptus Mechanicus, then you could always make the Skitarii Protector, who used polearm weapons and had bronze death mask. Yeah, they're are they the ones which Forge World made the conversion kits for? The resin ones. They have the big shields. When will you convert Chaos Demons? I don't know. Is there much to convert with them? I think demons are just demons, I suppose. I mean, yeah, I suppose I could do. I will intend on getting the Death Guard Demon Prince done, so I suppose that's kind of like a demon. But yeah, hopefully. Eventually I would like to do some conversions for everything, but This is why I do the live streams. It just means I can get more conversions done than just doing the one a week, which is about my limit. It's about a sustainable limit. Some weeks I can do more, but then I'll have a week where maybe I haven't been able to do any. So even if the weeks I have been able to do more, I end up kind of having a little bit of a break, especially if like a new game or something comes out. Then sometimes I'll be spending the time doing that than converting. But yeah, I will hopefully get around to doing conversions for everything at some point. Pete, do you think there will be Games Workshop female guard models in the future? Yes, I do, and the reason I'm saying that is because there are female Genestealer core models, and I feel like if we ever see a kit in the future which is for Imperial Guardsmen, we'll see a bit more of like a kit which allows you to do a bit more with it than the Cadian one. The Cadian one's great. It's a great basis for other stuff, but on its own, you can just build Cadians, and that's pretty much it. So I would like to see something which comes with a lot more options, kind of in line with the Genestealer Cult Neophyte sets. But yeah, if you look at the Attilan Jackals and the kind of second wave of releases that came out for Genestealer Cults, there were some female cultists in there. And obviously they use female characters in their Indomitus. So yeah, I reckon they probably will see more female guard. And you know what? Why not? Because at the end of the day, no, the Imperium doesn't care. They just want people wielding bayonets at the end of the day. What is the main army you use, and is it converted? Well, I don't have an army, not anymore. I used to have quite a few. I used to have Black Templars, and they were converted. I had some conversions in there. This was years ago. This was like when Black Templars first got their plastic kits. So I did have some conversions in there. So yeah, I've always been converting. But yeah, currently I have some Death Guard which I'm building. There are some conversions, just some very basic ones. I've kind of expand. I had a bunch of the easy build Death Guard, and I basically just did some kit bashes just so I could add some variety, so I wasn't just using the same 3 models over and over again. I used some of the generic Plague Marine components and helped to bulk out the number of Blight launchers I could get, because those guns are amazing. So we've kind of filed that down for now. You get the picture. Sometimes these filing downs just are annoyingly slow. Now I've already broken off the aerial, but it doesn't matter because we're going to remove those. We want to get rid of those with some clippers, and we'll keep them to one side. Again, useful components for your bits box, because really being a converter is just about hoarding components, hoarding bits, never getting rid of kits, just in case there's one component in there that you'll need in the future. And honestly, there are kits that I've ended up selling on and really regretted it, because I thought, you know what, that would have been really useful for a conversion. So yeah, keep all your extra bits. They're always going to be useful if you're looking to convert models. So I'm going to shave those shoulders down. And yeah, the armor here as well actually works quite nice, because if I compare that to like a Chaos Space Marine, it's not too far off. We have this kind of Baroque styling, so we can keep that intact. It works quite nicely. Just going to glue this torso together. Sons of Horus conversion without Forge World parts. Again, that's like another kind of faction which doesn't have something easily recognizable as being kind of Sons of Horus. Every other chapter, every other kind of Legion, Chaos Legion, which kind of converted, seems to have some sort of gimmick to them that you can kind of easily lean into. But yeah, maybe in the future. Man, the stream is... YouTube says it's freaking out, but I've got like a good stream going on here, so I don't know what's going on. So we're just going to glue this onto here, straight onto the waist there. Just going to glue this on. Like so. And instead of using the arms from the Militarum Tempestus kit, I'm going to be using some bare arms, because I've actually found that using bare arms with Imperial Guard kits is actually a really easy way of making them look a little bit chaotic. And the arms that I've chosen have come from the Catachan Command Sprue. You can use the regular Catachan ones. I just think that the ones from the Catachan Command Sprue give you a few more different poses, a few more specialist weapon options, and they're a little bit more up to date as well. They're not kind of as crazily bulky as the other ones are. So we're going to be using this grenade launcher. So the first thing we need to do is to trim the handle. I'm going to glue this arm on first though, just so I have a rough idea as to where this gun's going to be going. We need to make sure that this actually fits, because obviously this torso isn't what it was designed to be used with, so we need to make sure. Yes, that looks nice. We can clip off the handle. Would you like to Khorne to get some love, or Slaanesh with new kits? I think we are in definite need of some Khorne Berserkers. We've managed to get along nicely without any Noise Marines. I actually think the Noise Marine metal kit, did they come out after the plastic Khorne Berserkers? I can't remember, because you could use those Noise Marine upgrades on your regular Chaos Space Marines. It never looked too bad because you could just use them on the modern day ones and it looked fine. But yeah, if you want to run Khorne, it's a lot more difficult because those Khorne Berserkers, they're really old. I remember them looking quite old when I first started playing it, and that was like nearly 20 years ago. There's definitely better kits coming out quite soon after them. So let's glue these arms on. So the reason I've chosen these arms, like I said, is because they just add a slightly different appearance to this model. It gives it more of a kind of a ragtag, more of a haphazard, less uniform appearance to the model, which for something which is like a Chaos Renegade or a Chaos Cultist is something that you want to recreate. So I'm just going to go for the... Yeah, you know what? I've actually missed something off here. Let's remove that. We don't want any Imperial iconography here. Let's get rid of it all. There we go. Almost missed it. Actually works quite nicely. Sometimes the kits just work really nicely. We don't need to do anything else to them. They just fit together. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes we have to spend ages tweaking and adjusting just to get them to fit, but sometimes they do actually work nicely together. So immediately we've got something which looks different from Militarum Tempestus, and if you saw this on the board, you'd know straight away that the model is different. It's not quite the same as Militarum Tempestus. So we've not used any third-party kits yet, but we're going to be applying one of these helmets, and I actually really like these helmets. That these are again from Anvil Industry, and these are Brody Gladiator heads. So they're kind of like a combination of British World War One, I suppose a little bit kind of a combination of World War One helmets and Roman Gladiator helmets. You can see the mass there, but yeah, these actually look quite nice for Chaos because that little mesh grill on the front there looks really nice for Chaos. So I'm going to be attaching this here like so, and I think that'll just help to add to the up armored effect and also keep the more kind of archaic armor approach that we've got on our regular rank and file. So let's just attach that like so. There we go. So immediately we have something which looks different to this. It looks a little bit more elite, a little bit more bulky, but again is still chaotic looking. And the only thing I've done really is add a different helmet on there and swap out the arms. We can go ahead and add spikes if we want to, or we can let's see if this will work. Now this is one of the things I wasn't sure if it was going to work until I actually got to the stage, but these are Renegade Cloaks, again from Anvil Industry. They have so many conversion components, ridiculous amounts, for lots of different chapters. Is that a bit much? I think that looks a little bit too much on this model, personally. What do you guys think? Let's shelve that for the time being. See how we go. So what do you think of using the bodies from the smaller corpse grinder models for Blood Pact units? They would work well, but I think they are... you don't get many in a set. I think you only get 4 in a box of 10. So to actually field them in any decent amount of numbers, so if you wanted to field like a squad of 10 of them, you would need to buy like 3 boxes. It just doesn't seem financially viable, really. If you could go out borrow them from friends, then it obviously would be a lot cheaper, but ideally you want to use, if you want to do Chaos Conversions, you want to use kits which you can use every model in that kit, which is why I use things like Militarum Tempestus or Imperial Guardsman, just because you know that the base kit is easily available. Hey Pete, will you ever make an Ultramarine Auxiliate conversion? Yes, I think I've mentioned it in the past. Maybe it's a live stream thing to do. Maybe we could do something like those kind of cultists, which are technically like planetary defense forces, things like that, based around chapters. I think that'd be quite some interesting conversions to do. So let's get this finished off. We're coming up to the close to the end of the stream, so we need to add in a little bit of equipment to here, just because normally the backpack would go here, but we don't really need it, so I'm just going to add this grenade launcher pouch just to fill in. I'm not going to go with the water bottle here. I'm just going to remove that. Now, this actually component here was one of the first components that I actually started doing conversions with. I had I think the Cadians was the Imperial Guard was some of like the first plastic 40k kits that I ever had, because they were the first 40k army that I ever collected. And one of the first conversions I did was I removed the water bottle from here, and I basically mounted this on the back of the Guardsman and kind of used it as a backpack, even though it should be attached to the waist. I used it as a backpack for my miniatures, and that was like one of the first conversions that I did. It was like very basic conversions, and I've pretty much been converting on models ever since. Been mixing components around, adjusting components, just to try and get a little bit of something else from them. So just going to glue that to the back with some plastic glue, just to fill in that gap and also bulk out the model a little bit as well. I've opted to not use the cloak here. I think it's a little bit too much for what we need. It's probably better if I was to go for... You know what? That doesn't work still. Up there, it looks a little bit too much. Oh, it's made a mess of the backpack. I'm going to attach it to the waist, I think. I'm going to stick it on the waist, and I think if I bulk it up enough with ammo pouches, things like that, it should look okay. There you go. Right. Use Anvil so much you're surprised to sponsor you. Yeah, to be honest, there's I mean the guys have sent me some like components for free before. But yeah, I've bought stuff from them in the past. I think I've backed a Kickstarter they did years ago. I've always liked their stuff. They're UK based as well, which obviously I'm UK based, so it's always good to support smaller businesses as well. And yeah, they have a really good range. They kind of have stuff which can be used if you're converting things. They're just great because sometimes you don't always have a Games Workshop kit that you can use, and you can just use things like this instead. So, do you think if I use the Vostrian vid you put out for a new IG army, GW stores would have a problem with it because you're playing, not tournaments? It really does depend. I've heard stories of some people going into Games Workshops and literally being turned away for using anything other than Games Workshop kits, even if you use something else. And then I've recently gone into the local Games Workshop store and saw someone playing Imperial Guard with Napoleonic figures. They basically got a bunch of Warlord Games Napoleonic miniatures and kind of just stuck Cadian heads to them. So they were very much 90% non-Games Workshop, and the guy there didn't have any problem with them because at the end of the day they were still playing. He did have like some like tanks and sentinels, things like that, but most of his infantry were basically Napoleonic. So it just depends entirely on the store owner, I think, and the manager in that store. So we've not got much chaos stuff on here. We need to kind of add a few spikes. So let's use something that we haven't. What have we got here? What can we use? I'm tempted just to use this as it is. Yeah, I'm going to use that as it is, I think. I'm just going to trim it down a little bit just because it's a little bit too big. I'm going to... How can we go about this now? What's going to be the best? It's a little bit too big as it is. Let's use this one instead. Let's use the one without the panel. Does that look any better? Oh man, I'm all fingers and thumbs today. Yeah, let's trim that down a little bit and we can use this. Let's just trim that there. We already have kind of like a natural point that we can clip from. I'm going to use those keep those little nubs there. They're kind of like rivets. We just trim down this front here, smooth it out, and then we can glue it to the shoulder. I think officially your figure has to be 75% games. Yeah, that's usually what I've heard. It's usually a case of sometimes it's your figure. Each individual figure needs to be 75% Games Workshop. Sometimes it's your army has to be 75% Games Workshop. So it does depend. And obviously some people are saying that their stores are like very militant and you have to use 100% Games Workshop products. And you know what? It's a little bit of a shame, I think, because at the end of the day, people are still buying models. I think if they want to use third-party components, they should still be allowed to play. But I get it. You're using up their store space and potentially advertising components from rivals that they would rather you not buy from. So yeah, I kind of understand it to a degree, and other times I just think they're being a little bit overzealous and overprotective of their IP. So I'm going to use this again. I really want to get these kind of hooks and blades. I want to get this on the model. Just a quick clip there, and that's instantly usable with a little bit of cleaning, of course. Hey Pete, have you ever thought about decalcifying minis? It's easy to make something chaos, but making a chaos mini little might be hard. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of people make kind of low-list versions of Death Guard, where they've basically just got a load of putty and just filled in all the holes and removed any like tentacles and things like that. They're always really impressive because they have that Mark III armor, but then they also have slight variations on the Mark III kit as well. And I've seen some really good uses of that. People have done really excellent looking Necromunda bounty hunters. They've done inquisitorial warbands, things like that. So yeah, there's some pretty good options there. So I'm just going to add this kind of like meat hook. Let's trim that down a little bit. Trim that off there. CJ Reed, the problem is that the variety of kits has just been going down for a lot of factions. When Games Workshop starts making kits for other guard regiments, I think 12th edition. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because the thing is about when the Cadian kit came out, the only other plastic kit that we had for Imperial Guard was the Catachan. So it was really cool because we had two regiments that we could use. You could mix and match the components between the two, and they worked pretty well. But then that was basically it. We've not had any regular kind of rank and file releases for the Imperial Guard for at least, 6 years? I think the Militarum Tempestus came out in 2013, 2014, something like that. And that was the last rank and file miniature that we got that was in a plastic kit for Imperial Guard. And that's a long time ago, considering we've had a pretty much full army re-release for things like Space Marines. We've had all the Genius of the Occult stuff's been released in that time. We've had a whole bunch of new armies for Age of Sigmar, and it just would be nice to have... Actually, yeah, I think Adepts Mechanicus have all been released in that time frame as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it would be nice to have some more Imperial Guard regiments. because then we wouldn't really need to rely on third parties. Right, so we've got a few more chaotic components on there. We've got a meat hook at the back. And to be honest, we could just start adding extra spikes to the model. When in doubt with Chaos Miniatures, just add extra spikes. I mean, one of the things that I've... so if you've seen on my community post of the day, I've got this conversion which is going live on Friday. So this is basically a Chaos Admiral. And as you can see here, I've just added some spikes to the shoulder. And you can see that they came from the spikes on here. So you can actually just add them straight coming out the shoulder pads, and it actually works really well for Chaos because they're really into that kind of body mutilation stuff. So you could add some spikes there, you could add some extra skulls, you could add some corn iconography. But yeah, if you're just looking for something that you can quite easily build that represents some Blood Pact, then hopefully you've been able to see a couple of different examples. We've got our rank and file here, and we've got our more kind of elite veterans or kind of alternate Tempest Scions. Or I mean, you could just have them as like a slightly different group if you want to have a bit more variation, because at the end of the day, these guys are a lot more ragtag. They're not going to be as organized, so different units may have access to different equipment. So yeah, there we go. Let's just add these to bases for the time being, and I'll answer a few questions. Chaos really has a point covered in all those spikes. Good joke. That's like on par with some of the terrible jokes that I have in my 5 ways to convert videos. So yeah, congratulations. You can cut the drums to improve the height of the model with a bit of green stuff too. Have I missed a comment for something else? It's really difficult sometimes, guys, because I'll just see people commenting and I'll be like, oh, what's that comment? And then you're responding to someone else further down the stream. There we go. Let's just add in this. Now this is probably the hardest, the hardest of all the Cadian legs to glue on, because it's just got a very, very tiny little contact point just on the foot there. Just sit here with a little bit. Sad that the only official traitor god is for Blackstone Fortress. Yeah, I agree. They really should have been their own faction. They should have been their own plastic kit easily. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why we haven't seen those newer kits. And sometimes, whilst it's nice to see new armies coming around, I do think that Games Workshop need to go back sometimes and just say, okay, Imperial Guard, you've not had anything new infantry-wise for a long time. Let's give you an updated Cadian kit. Let's give you a plastic Vostrians kit, or a plastic Valhallans kit, or a plastic Greatcoat kit. That would be amazing. We could do so many things with that. Yeah, so we've got some bases here. So we've got the models finished off. There we go. So here is how to complete some Blood Pact conversions. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I do apologise that the stream had to kind of cut away halfway through, and I don't think the amount of viewers survived that cut. It was almost like a Thanos snap. It's probably my own fault for messing around with the latency settings. I just wanted to have a little bit more of a live, real-time kind of interaction with you guys. So hopefully it'll be better for next time. Now again, these streams are pretty much flexible right up until the day of. So if you have any suggestions for these kind of things, then leave them in the comments of this video. Leave them in the comments of pretty much any video that I do. I do check the comments from all my videos, so don't worry if you are watching a random video from 2 years ago, chances are I'll probably still comment on it. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for future live streams, I would like to do some more conversions and maybe do some more structured conversions in the future, so hopefully we'll see those. And yeah, as always, there are lots of ways you can support the channel if you wish to do so. There is super chats for live streams. There is channel memberships, so you can get little stickers, little icons next to your name in the stream. I can see you. It's Patreon as well. And if you don't want to do any of that, then that's fine. I'm happy if you watch my videos. But there's also affiliates links, so if you're looking to buy Warhammer or Wargaming things and Firestorm games, I've got an affiliates link in my description. Click on that. A little bit of money comes my way, and I put that straight into buying more kits for future videos. And trust me, I've been buying so many kits recently just for some of the Indomitus stuff that's going to be coming very, very soon. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, don't forget Discord. Discord, yes, I always forget Discord. The link is in the description. I've updated my template, so it should always be in there now. So yeah, join us on Discord. Lots of great guys, great people on there. We're all like a very diverse bunch. We're into different things, not just Warhammer. Lots of different interests, and yeah,